Welcome friends! During my 35 years of gaming, I have seen many thousands of games come and go across 7 generations of consoles and home computers. Today's game joins the likes of Crazy Kong for the ZX Spectrum, Fable for the Xbox, and Driver 3 for the Xbox and PlayStation 2 as one of the most overhyped and utterly dishonestly presented games of all time. Rise of the Robots was produced by Mirage Media and published by Time Warner Interactive and Acclaim Entertainment in 1994 at a top tier price point of at least £35. Although I'll be concentrating on the SNES version I played as a terminally disappointed child with chronic buyer's remorse, this game was released for 10 different platforms that all follow the same dismal trajectory, being that they were hyped up to a point way beyond what they could have had a vain hope of delivering, shortly followed by a well-deserved plummeting down a mineshaft head-first exercise once this cardboard ensconced fetid abomination made it into the hands of the customers they so clearly despised. With the 1994 version of the internet being a slow, tedious and immensely limited pseudo-luxury for tech-savvy consumers armed with skip loads of money and time to burn, the only realistic options available for a prospective purchase were down to the usual two means: magazine reviews, and the usual liar's manifesto that was disgorged onto the back of a game box in all of its wildly exaggerated glory. Thankfully, the first paragraph boils down the 2.5 pages of perplexing pseudo-futuristic psychobabble into 3 lines of generic sludge. Essentially, you're a half-human, half-robot, and 100% unmitigated serial incompetent failure of a lead character, holding back the utterly cack-handed android revolution against exactly 5 androids and a shape-shifting programming error of a final boss. As basic and stupefying as this utterly generic plot sounds, it's far easier to digest than the laundry list of completely nebulous locations, people, and other influences sprinkled into the needlessly engorged manual. I really hope you like the look and feel of playing as Echo 35-2 in the single-player game, aka the front-of-box emblazoning tin can degenerate, as this is the only playable character you'll ever get to use. We'll touch upon his devastating super moves a little later. Referring to a 32 meg cartridge as having power, or being turbocharged, is like saying that your 25-year-old crap heap of a car is suddenly far better because you just parked it in a larger garage. The next chunk of text is oddly accurate depending on your interpretation. The artificial intelligence is certainly brutal, and it most certainly changed the way I look at fighting games, usually with distrustful scorn. What better way to finish our perusal of this ludicrous liar's manifesto is there than by looking at the gameplay photos and the unrelated guff below them? With statements like, "It's guerrilla warfare against the ape," featuring the Builder android and real computer-generated 3D graphics, as opposed to imaginary versions concocted during a night terror, we could justifiably put any words we want onto these 6 photos. I know! Wednesday is salad in this lollipop wonderland. My anguish tastes like a carrier bag full of rusty nails. Bread bins march forth and conquer the land of Zrup. We can't even trust that this package is recyclable, because knowing Mirage Media and Time Warner, they probably made the box out of polystyrene and depleted uranium just to spite us. After carefully recycling this uninformative waste of cardboard by stamping on it repeatedly until it becomes one with the pavement, we can reflect on the egregious waste of plastic and silicon within the box itself. Although the audio was arguably the best part of the game, with competent combat noises and music that consists of one 30-second loop on the title screen and a few 10-second loops elsewhere, likening any of this utterly generic music to Brian May is only possible if you're humming Bohemian Rhapsody to yourself in an attempt to blank out the remaining 99% of the game that's plagued by abysmal controls and shambolic gameplay. Speaking of which, the gameplay on offer is quite easily some of the worst I have ever experienced. Once you mildly adjust to the slightly delayed inputs and realise that all 3 strengths of kick or punch use the same animations but deal differing amounts of damage, you can proceed to plink away at your enemy's health bar with at least 50 hits, safe in the knowledge that the game is having an internal subgame of rock, paper and scissors to decide if any of your attempted strikes should bother to connect. Calling the combat barren is a mind-blowing understatement. Blocking is a complete waste of time for the most part, as it only removes a slight sliver of incoming damage, and the combo system is exceptional, as long as you don't expect to get a combo of more than a single hit. There are no throws, no projectiles, no counter moves, and all combat boils down to jumping around like a spring-loaded fool or jerking around the place trying to land a hit. Either way, this total mess is a button masher's paradise. The devastating super moves proudly mooted on the box are only devastating to your levels of disappointment, as the soul-crushing realisation that you wasted £50 on this turd is remorselessly pounded into your skull. Both the shoulder barge and the turbo headbutt are as ineffectual and shoddy as the rest of the ill-conceived moves, and should you play as any other android, you will have access to a single solitary special move instead. Another of this game's disingenuous boasts is that the enemy learns from your combat style and adapts in an unprecedented way. This boils down to the enemy changing one attack out of every 20, assuming you aren't button mashing your controller to death, in which case you won't notice a scintilla of a difference. In a brazen attempt by Mirage to pad out this abhorrent disarray of a questionable interactive experience, you are expected to defeat all 6 of the androids in one charmed button mashing sitting, or you and your unworthy unwashed backside will be jettisoned back to the title screen to attempt it all over again. Should you have the brass neck goal of defeating the sentry or stun locking the final boss in place with a single move like I did, your reward is to be shown all of the cinematics you've already seen, not to be remotely informed of any impact your armoured glass cannon flailing idiot has had on the manual's incomprehensible story, and then you're told to piss off back to the title screen with a cheat code in hand so you can further ruin your experience at a later date. If you wish to bring a friend along that you are secretly planning to turn into a mortal enemy in the near future, then have a go at the 2-player mode and revel in your sudden access to the other 6 androids, provided that you made use of the cheat code from the end of game regurgitated cinematics. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant access to the other 6 androids for one of you. The other player is stuck with Echo 35-2 no matter who they want to play as. Have completely imbalanced and friendship ruinous fun, you pair of peasant consumers. Finally, we get to comment on the graphics, or the sacrificial altar erected at the cost of every other aspect of the game. The visuals are certainly impressive by 1994 standards, but they've aged as well as leaving a pint of milk in direct sunlight for a month, and then proceeding to eat the contents of the bottle, shortly followed by the bottle itself. This game has a sole response to the tidal wave of justified criticisms this game attracted. Look at the brilliant graphics! Well, they're certainly nice and all, but what about the gameplay? I'll refer you to my first statement. Graphics. That is all. No further questions. What did the gaming press think of this travesty at the time? This is where the game crosses over from being an overhyped, unplayable monstrosity to a dirty, deceitful and unashamedly dishonest disgrace. Some of the more honest reviews included Amiga Power's rating of 5% and Electronic Gaming Monthly's rating of 4.4 out of 10. However, reviewers didn't have access to the game until after the release date, and some magazines such as Computer and Video Games Magazine deliberately sold a pack of lies to their readers by rating the game 91% solely for the sake of gaining a world-first exclusive. This game and its creators' utter despicable disregard for any form of integrity were a stain on the industry the history has unfortunately repeated many times since. Combining the utterly derisory gaming experience with the despicable hype and misleading nature of its entire journey from inception to release, this game truly deserves to be castigated in the eternal flame as one of my retro gaming abominations. Until next time, goodbye friends.